US President Joe Biden started his State of the Union address and focused on defending democracy, economic recovery, reproductive rights, and even attacked Russian President Putin for the Ukraine war, warning that he will not back down. Take a look at all he said in his last State of the Union address.
My message to President Putin, who I've known for a long time, is simple. We will not walk away. We will not bow down. I will not bow down. Those bragging about overturning Roe v. Wade have no clue about the power of women. But they found out when reproductive freedom was on the ballot. We won in 2022 and 2020, and we'll win again in 2024. If you, the American people, send me a Congress that supports the right to choose, I promise you, I'll restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land again. History is watching, just like history watched 3 years ago on January 6th, when insurrectionists stormed this very Capitol and placed a dagger to the throat of American democracy. Many of you were here on that darkest of days. We all saw with our own eyes the insurrectionists were not patriots. They'd come to stop the peaceful transfer of power, to overturn the will of the people. January 6th lies about the 2020 election and the plots to steal the election posed a gravest threat to U.S. democracy since the Civil War. But they failed. America stood. America stood strong, and democracy prevailed. My inherited economy is on the brink. Now our economy is literally the envy of the world. 15 million new jobs in just 3 years, a record, a record. Unemployment at 50-year lows. A record 16 million Americans are starting small businesses, and each one is a literal act of hope.
All right, to get us more, joining us now is Voice of America correspondent Jessica Stone, who joins us from Washington, D.C. Jessica, welcome on board. Just want to understand from you, how do you see, this latest speech, of course, and give us a roundup of the highlights that you noticed so far.
Well, you played a couple of the key ones there, Siobhan, in the lead up to our report here. I think it's really notable that the president started his remarks calling on Congress to pass additional supplemental aid to Ukraine, saying specifically this World War II comparison that he started with. And then he ends with the mention of his age, that he was born during World War II, that his experience is an asset. So we saw him tie in the message to the Republicans with his own message to voters. He then went to a very big issue in this country, abortion rights, reproductive rights, literally saying we won in the past, we won in the midterms, we're going to win again in 2024 on this issue. And, the Kaiser Family Foundation just released a study today saying 1 in 8 American voters say that this is the most important issue to them when it comes to the presidential election. More than half of Americans surveyed by the Kaiser Family Foundation saying that it is a very important issue, if not the most important issue to them. So he really zeroed in on that. That, of course, is a very strong issue for the Democratic Party. And then he went right to IVF. And meanwhile, we've got President Trump live tweeting his responses to that matter and saying that, actually Republicans are very supportive of IVF, which is in vitro fertilization. I want to go to another section that I thought that was particularly notable, which of course is the section much later in the speech on the president's stance on immigration. He called out Republicans for blocking the strong enforcement of immigration that he was willing to sign, calling himself tough on immigration, calling out what he calls his predecessor, a reference to Donald Trump. You'll note he never called him by name. He never called him the former president. He only referred to him as his predecessor, saying that he was the reason that Republicans in Congress would not back that bill, and that he still wanted Congress to send him a tougher immigration bill. He outlined that, and it was really the only part of the address, Siobhan, where we saw in a real exchange with a member of Congress, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who of course heckled him last year, heckling him a little bit again on immigration. And at that point, he had to come back ready, as he did last year. He brought out that coin, I believe it was, for the woman in Georgia who was killed by an illegal alien and who has become a cause celeb for the right on this issue. And he took that head on. And then I think it's important, of course, then to note that he ended largely on the issue of Israel and Hamas, on the pledge by the White House to send the U.S. military in to create a port, a temporary port, to make sure that aid is expedited to the Gazans who are starving behind that blockade. And that is an issue that he is very vulnerable on, of course. And we saw, instead of a loud protest, we saw that softer protest in the chamber from the Arab Americans, from those leading the movement within Congress and really within the Democratic Party to push back on the president's pro-Israel stance. But he did make it very clear that Israel should be held to account for what it is doing in Gaza, for the fact that innocent civilians are being killed. So I think that's notable as well. And then, of course, as I said earlier, ending on a nod to his age. This is something that so many people are concerned about, really for both candidates in the general election, but specifically for President Biden because of the notable falls, because of some of the notable gaffes, which some would say are pretty much Joe Biden at his best. Others think are a factor of age. And he took his age head on. He said, yes, I was born during World War II, but I know that democracy
that's exactly what I wanted to come to next. Jessica, exactly. You know, you've packed in quite a lot over there, but I just wanted to come to this next. There was a lot of talk regarding, you know, how he delivers the speech, not just about what he mentions. So I wanted to understand from you, how did you see his approach? How did you see his tone and his body language in this speech? Because a lot of people are noticing that. And how do you think the American public would be seeing this address at the moment, now that it's over?
Well, there certainly were moments where he slurred, where he I had the prepared remarks and I was comparing them to what he was actually saying. He didn't go off script a ton. When he did, he was a little more troubled in his execution of what he was trying to say. But even some of his own remarks and even a punchline on abortion rights, he didn't get it exactly right. Now, was that because of age? Is that because of nerves? Is that because of another, a variety of issues? We don't really know for sure. But I do think this will be very scrutinized because this is an issue that is of great concern. As VOA interviewed voters on Super Tuesday, we noticed from Republicans and Democrats, but really particularly from the Democrats we spoke to, they are concerned about having a candidate that is already 81 years old, already the sitting president, the oldest sitting president that we've ever had, that would go on to another 4 years potentially. And that would make him, clearly the oldest sitting president during that term as well if he wins the White House. So I do think there'll be a lot of analysis to come on that.
All right, that was Jessica Stone, a correspondent from Voice of America, joining us from Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for sharing all your insights, Jessica, and of course, happy Women's Day to you.
Thank you.